Hi, everybody. It's Tim and Damien, obviously from Ozaki Volleyball Club, and we wanted to give you some announcements with the upcoming sand camp. And with everything going on, what we want to do is make sure that everybody is really, really clear on what we're going to be doing. We're meeting as coaches. Obviously, the safety of your kids are of the utmost importance. And so we didn't script this message. This is a really serious message because with everything going on, void of your views on what should be done or not being done, we are not going to take unnecessary risks. So a couple of the policies that we're going to put into play are the following. If a kid tests positive, what we ask of you is to immediately notify us. Number two, if a kid does test positive for COVID, we're also going to shut down the camp. We're not going to sit here and take a risk, whether it's 2 or 3 kids, and think it's not that bad. We're going to be very, very steadfast in the following, that one kid, if they test positive, we're going to shut down the camp. Now, here's the thing that we want you to realize is that when we run this camp, we do not make money off of this. We have invested our time and money into this. The reason that I point that out is we give the money to the programs, we give it to teachers who are earning side income. That money really gets spoken for, especially with Galiotas as well, who gives us a great deal on their facility. With that being said, we want people to understand that the policy is going to be the following. If we have a test that is positive, whether it's a coach or a player, we are going to shut down the camp. So I want to be very clear that someone doesn't come back and say, can you make an exception? Well, we should get some of our money back. If that is a concern of yours, we would encourage you to not come to the camp and we'll give you your money back. We just want to be very, very safe. And Damien's done a great job, has been meeting with the county, and he'll walk you through some of the things that he's learned and some of the guidelines.
So, talking with the county, there's a few things that they wanted us to do. One was keep the attendance down at a specific level. Now, when we started off, our attendance was down anyway. But once the safer at home order was lifted, we had a surge in registrations. So we're probably going to be operating at about 60% of what we have in the past in terms of total registrations. And what we're going to do, and I'll outline this in an email as well, but what we're going to do from a camp perspective is previously each session you got 50 kids or whatever, 20 to 60 kids in a session, and everybody's together and doing going through the drills and then doing performing competitions against each other. This year is going to be a little bit different because what the county wants us to do is separate people out into smaller groups. So we may have like 2 courts of one level of player, 2 courts of another, and then so there's 5 courts there. So we may do 2 courts, and 1 court, and we are going to have coaches who are interacting with their courts. So like previously in the past, we may have had like Brian Rushmer running the whole thing, all 5 courts, by himself, which he's certainly capable of doing. Has done great in the past, but because they want us to do this, semi-social distancing, at least make an attempt at it. We're gonna go all in on that. So we will have a coach for each of these courts, and they're not going to interact. We will switch things up on a week-to-week basis. So like if your kid is maybe not with his or her best friends one week, we'll switch things up the next week to mix things up. And also because we may realize that there is an exceptional talent who is in maybe like the JV kind of group, and we'll move them up the next week. So we'll figure all that stuff out. So there's some other steps we're going to take. And on Monday, we're going to be sending out a waiver, which will have, which you need to sign off on. Your kid will not be allowed at the camp until we have that waiver. In the past, we've been a little bit lenient on it. A kid will come on the first day and they don't have the waiver. Okay, yeah, just bring it tomorrow. That's not going to happen this year. With our liability concerns, we need to have signed waivers in place before the kid steps on the sand.
And I would also say as a closing comment, we're also adding the community court near the pools for the smaller kids, which I typically do the smaller kids. So we've added a ton of coaches this year. So again, the reason we're putting out this video is it's also going to be one of the questions on your liability form if you've watched this video, because it really is important that you understand that we love doing this, especially for the parents from Cedarburg. We've grown the boys program. We've helped the girls program every year. And this is, and we've heard the term, uncharted territory, unparalleled times, all the things that we've heard. But when it comes to kids, we don't want a kid to get sick. And if a kid does happen to contract the COVID virus, we're not going to run a risk with other people's kids. We're just not going to. And I think we need to be really safe. And so The reason we didn't want to put this just in writing, but also to communicate what we've had to do behind the scenes. Damien's been at the county a number of times. We've already met with the coaches. We've actually had to hire more coaches. We've actually had to up our insurance. There's a lot of things that have gone in just to put this camp on with, quite frankly, little or no money for the two of us. And that's not why we do this. But it is really important that you understand that one kid tests positive, we're going to shut down the camp. We also ask if you feel like your kid is not feeling well, don't send them. Take their temperature. We might even be doing some of that as well. We're looking into some different temperature type tools just to check kids. We're really concerned about this, but we want to also run the camp because we know it's a mainstay of not just Cedarburg, but a lot of the schools in the area. So we appreciate your time and we'll be in touch.